Well, welcome for another very special episode of Boks Unpacked. I am extremely excited to be joined by James O'Connor, who recently left South Africa after a very successful tour in the Castle Lager Rugby Championship. James, welcome on the show. It is fantastic to see you. It's been over a decade since we last played against each other on the rugby field. You're looking nice and relaxed there.
Geez, showing my age, eh? I am relaxed. I'm in Byron Bay. We've got about 5 days off before we go back into camp. So I've just been enjoying the sun, enjoying the sea, just with my wife and my dog, and life's good.
That sounds fantastic, and I mean, after the performance that you had in South Africa, a well-deserved rest. How was it being back in South Africa? Obviously, you've been out of international rugby for a couple of years. I mean, it must have been amazing. 35 years old, back into the mix, putting up a performance like you did in that first Test match.
Yeah, well, I definitely think from it's taken me a couple of days to heal. That last Test match, the boys were coming for me, which was it was fun. It was nice. Had a couple of good little rib ticklers. Jesse Creel got me a couple of times, which was nice. But look, yeah, from my point of view, it was an awesome tour. Like coming up against the world champs, we knew we had our work cut out against us. I feel like we played a sort of a style of rugby that worked in the first game, and we got close in that second game. If I bloody could have hit that one conversion, would have put us in the mix there towards the end there. But look, credit to the guys that came in, like especially like Pollard. Like man, he was clinical. Like he just controlled the game well, and I felt like even though sort of we were making inroads from the beginning of the game, like we were sort of chasing our tail a little bit. Around sort of half time and into that second half, we built some momentum and we started to open up some gaps and find some spaces. But just class players and class, performance from the box, just showing why they are the best.
Yeah, well, I actually wanted to talk a little bit about your career and then get into the game. But let's get into the game immediately, and then we'll cover just a little bit of being back in the mix. Because you spoke about missing a kick in the second Test match. The first game, I thought you were just brilliant in the way that you controlled the game. Is it that stage in world rugby that it comes down to such small margins.
Mm.
The bounce of the ball, you take that example when Corey Toole broke through the chip kick. I mean
Oh,
that ball bounces to the left. That's a try.
yeah.
And it's so small. One mistake on the day, and you win the game or you lose the game. Was it that tight?
Oh, 100%. I think even in that first game, like one or two passes stick, and that's a very different performance. The Boks were coming hard, and it was a 22-point lead. I felt like they possibly missed two opportunities just from, again, 50-50. So that allowed us to alleviate a bit of pressure and build into the game. But I guess from my point of view, I'm at a stage in my career where I do play very differently. I've had the luxury, I guess, in a way, to learn many different styles of play, and even just going to the Crusaders this year, it wasn't so much about what I learned, it was just how they go about business.
Yeah.
And then I've tried to sort of just instill that into my game. But yeah, again, look, the margins are so close, especially with the top teams. Like if you're on your game and you can find a little weakness and turn the screws and really just exploit it, it's one try, a quick another, turnover, intercept, or a bounce of a ball for another try. And then if you can keep that scoreboard ticking over, I think that's the main thing. And that's the frustrations that I have is that's my bread and butter.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we would have won the game. I still feel like, the Boks did play better than us, but I do feel like there was moments in that game where if we were a little bit more clinical, especially from my behalf, there was two or three times where the space was there. I just couldn't quite get the ball there this week. They came with a little bit more line pressure, and we didn't have, I guess, well, we lost, arguably our best player, well, best back, Tom Wright. We lost him pretty early.
Yeah.
He's just such a explosive player, and I've built like a nice little connection with him. Losing him, and then obviously Nick White, our general, losing him as well.
Yeah.
I thought
And
Saturday
and
Norton was
Joseph.
coming on. Yeah, and Joe as well, who's
Yeah,
and he could be anything he wants to be. So we just were
yeah.
a little bit clunky in a few areas, but I thought like I was proud of my man because we fronted up and we definitely met the challenge. I'll say that.
Yeah. Well, we'll get back to the New Zealand experience now as well, but just the disruption of those three players going off. Yeah, Nick White at 9, Tom Wright, who like you said, so early on in the game, he had a brilliant game in Joburg, so early on in the Cape Town Test, had to go off. And then Joseph Swali'i, who just seems like a unbelievable talent. The
Mm.
disruption within the back line, you having to move positions as well. Had that not been the case, it could have been different as well. So again, you talk about the margins and also having been able to adapt within the game.
Yeah, and that's rugby these days. Like
Yeah,
that's the risk of running that, the 6-2 bench that a lot of teams sort of want to do now. You got to have players that can play in a lot of different positions. Like you saw with us in the Lions series, Tate playing on the wing, and he's got the nickname Jonah Lamu now because he's actually and that guy could play anywhere. But I do think it wasn't like we brought on guys who hadn't played in that position before. Like Tane Edmund playing at 12, that's probably a first for him, but he's
yeah,
got the skill set to be able to do that. And we played within our structures. And look, man, we created opportunities. We just weren't quite good enough to get that final pass or kick bloody those goals.
I mean, you've played most positions in the back line. We saw Andre Estes going into the
Yeah.
flank there for the Boks. Any guys you reckon can do that in your squad at the moment? Would you put up
Man,
your hand?
maybe at hooker in a couple of years' time.
Oh,
Bro, it's a scary. He's a big boy, Andre.
yeah, yes,
Like anytime you can get him on the field, I think he's a game changer, and especially how you use him. But bro, he could
yeah,
play anywhere in the field, and he's got some toe as well.
he does.
In
So
our team, who could play? Like
you
honestly, like
probably
we
past
joke about it.
probably
Hunt,
past players. There's been a few. There's been a
yeah,
few past.
there's
Yeah,
been a few. I think a guy like Fraser McWright, you could move him into the back line because he's got a really good grasp of the game. He's quick enough to play in the centers.
yeah,
Even someone like, it sounds funny, but towards the end of the game, like you could put a Bobby there, or even like a even a Harry Wilson. Like with his skill
yeah.
set, he's got a nice little left foot. I think he's probably set up more tries off his left boot than I have off my right. So that's saying something. And then in the back line, I mean, I've got no doubt that a guy like Dylan Peach could play. In
Oh
the
yeah,
back row, he's granite
yeah,
and strong. I think he played there as a junior, and then someone like Hunter Paisami. Man, I always joked with him. Obviously, he's playing 12 now. I said, in a couple of years' time, you're either going to move to 10 because of your skill set, or you're going to move to hooker because you put on too much weight. So we'll see what comes.
yeah, and such a physical player as well. You speak about the players. Let's quickly touch on the coach, Joe Schmidt. What have you made of him, and how did that conversation go when he phoned you the first time, saying he wants you back in the squad? It must have been, it must have felt to you like the first time you got the call up as an 18-year-old.
Yeah, well, man, I've been putting it out there for a while that I wanted to be a part of it. Um, I guess I just had to show like I was injured for sort of 2 years and was sort of playing not inconsistent, but I guess the world didn't get to see the best of me. So when I went to the Crusaders, we had a very specific role of coming on and finishing games, and I feel like I sort of made that my own. And man, I was going to reach out to Joe literally. I had planned to message him, sort of held back. I was like, look, I'll get a few more runs on the board. And then the day I was like, look, I'm going to reach out to him this week. He actually called me that Tuesday. So
Brilliant.
everything sort of just lined up, synchronicity. But yeah, like since then, I've had some, like even before I came into the squad, I had some awesome rugby conversations with him. Like the man knows footy. He knows every player there is in the world. He's been there, done that. He knows all different shapes. Like it's pretty fun playing chess with him because he's got an answer to everything. But man, I can't speak
Yeah,
more highly of him because one, like there's the detail level when you can trust your coach that he's pulled apart the other team and he's found particular weaknesses or areas that we can attack. And then when you go do your own review and you see exactly what he's come up with, the trust is there. One, so he's got the group's trust. His detail is unbelievable, and then just the way he builds the boys up quite nicely. Some of his pre-match
yeah.
speeches, I'm going to say, have been pretty tasty. So yeah, man, it's been a pleasure working under him.
Yeah, it sounds amazing, and it also seems like, because like you said, you might have someone that's technically really good and can pull the opposition apart, but also you want to build that relationship, and he seems like he's a really good guy as well, and really cares about the players. And when that comes out, you see the players being able to kind of reward him on the field by the way that they play as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think one of the great things about him is there's such clarity, like one from the rugby side of things, but also like away from footy as well. You know where you sit, and there's no pecking order of he's there because of your age. Like you're in, if you're not training, you're not playing, and
Yeah.
anyone's a free target. Like he's had a few cracks at me as well, and different reviews and on the field, and it really, yeah, lights a fire up your ass. So like no one's safe, and at the same time everyone feels like calm in his presence, and as well like they belong. Like he's really building just like a team spirit. And I know, like,
Yeah.
I've been a part of a few groups, like as you would know yourself, where you're genuinely playing for the jersey but for your mates, and I feel like that's where we're going with the Wallabies at the moment.
It does seem like it, and um, it seems like a happy squad, and obviously
Yeah.
Australia's had a bit of turmoil the last couple of years, but it's just so great to see you guys performing the way that you are, uh, and you can see that he's had a massive influence, and that other guys that has had an influence, by yourself, has also been guys like a Will Skelton, and other uh, more experienced guys coming in. And do you feel that that was maybe the link that was missing? Was you had such talented youngsters coming through, but they just didn't have that foundation of experience to help them through the difficult periods within games and within competitions. Whereas now, the mix between the experience and youth is far better.
Well, you guys have seen it in South Africa, like the depth of your squad and the way that, Razzie's brought in, youngsters, like middle-aged guys, but also having seniors around the group, whether they're playing or not. Hey, like I'm an older bloke, but I feel like I still have a lot to add, whether it's in
Yeah,
terms of knowledge or just like I feel like I've lost so many times that I can see patterns coming, and I've won
yeah,
plenty of times as well, where I can see how to again turn the screws. There's a fine balance in knowledge of detail and emotion, but then the wisdom of knowing how to use them together. And it's all well and good having a detail and a game plan, but you have to know when to use that emotion to spark it. And I think someone like Will Skeleton was incredible for the squad because guys just want to follow him and they feel that
yeah,
belief. And when he's on the field, you feel a little bit safer. You know, you
yeah.
got someone who someone who's got your back no matter what. And I think the boys have really built off that. And yeah, man, it's a cool environment to be in. And as much as I'm loving the time off and enjoying Byron Bay, I'm pretty keen to get back into camp and get involved with this Argentina test.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that Argentina test. Amazing performance by them against New Zealand, getting the victory there. Did you spot some opportunities for you as well, or is it just
Yeah,
basically being inwardly kind of focused and saying this is what we've been doing, we've been really good, just keep on doing it and do it even better?
yeah, I think it's a balance. Like, as you know, it's a very Argentina are a very different beast to what the
Yeah,
Springboks brought. They play very differently, the way their defense structures are, the way they attack, and how they do things. So there'll be a couple of tweaks. Like I haven't had any conversations with Joe in terms of game plans and where he wants to attack, but I've found like I've done my review. I've watched both the games twice now, so I've seen a couple little spots I feel like I could possibly, press on if I get the honor of wearing the jersey again. But at the same time, like we said before, on the day, any of these top tier nations can win. As you saw, like the first game, New Zealand, I really felt played clinical. But
yeah,
that second game, Argentina were just like fire ants, like flying in. They just smothered New Zealand and just with pressure. And then there was no sort of, you couldn't really find a weakness. And when they did have a weakness, they had such high energy to cover, whether it was kicking or whether it was getting behind a high ball, was whether it was a ball on the ground. Like they won so many of those 50-50s and won that territory battle that you just can't win a rugby match when you don't have the ball in the right parts of the field. So for me, going to Argentina, it's a clean slate, and it's one. If I get the opportunity, I'll be licking my lips because I know they're such a quality team, and I'd love to see how I can go against them.
Yeah, well, you can just see that competitive nature coming out there. And you want to play Test rugby, you want to play against the best, you want to show that you are better. And I think it's brilliantly set up for all the teams. So competitive. That's what you want in the rugby championship.
Yeah, well,
And
100%.
we're looking
Well,
forward to seeing how you go there.
yeah, well, I feel like my job's pretty simple. Like in the Wallabies group, in terms of just conducting a little bit, guiding the team around the field, and then adding just a little bit of creativity when it's needed. But to be honest, like the guys are doing everything themselves. It's already all been there. We've got, like you said, like we've got incredible talents, juniors coming through that can beat guys in a phone booth, and we've also got guys who are running incredible lines and defending. And like for me, it's just been a pleasure coming in because they're so well drilled. Joe's got them in such a great spot. So for me to just come in and add a few little finishing touches has been, man, it's just so fun. So it's so cool when you join a group that know their identity and know how they want to play. So then you can just fall in line. And then, hey, if I'm not playing, the next 10 can just fall in line and just obviously add their little skill set that they do better than anyone else, or, cover up a flaw that possibly they don't do as well as someone else.
Yeah.
But I feel like the way, and I don't want to get ahead of myself and don't want to make sort of too many big statements, but I feel like where Oz Rugby is, if these guys stay fit, like the core of our team, if those guys stay fit and keep moving forward, like I feel like Australian rugby's in a really good place.
Well, it certainly seems like that. Unfortunately, the one person that won't be there going forward would be Joe Schmidt. What what a big loss will that be
Mm.
for the team and just what you have built, where you are now, and then kind of in a way having to start all over again because then those relationships needs to be built again with the less kids coming in.
Yeah, well, I think the first thing on that is he's left in like with Joe's legacy, and I don't know when he's finishing up and the whole details around that. Like to be honest, like how he separates, his personal life,
Yeah,
and his rugby is second to none with what I've seen. Um, but I do know that him and Les Kiss are very tied and connected, and they speak a lot on rugby. Like I remember when I was at the Reds having conversations with Les, and he was already on top of where Joe was at, and this and that. So I think when and if he leaves, I think the transition will be pretty seamless because one,
okay.
he's got the boys pretty like I said, very well drilled in terms of the fundamentals of the game. That's his big thing is the fundamentals, the basics that we're doing well. If you have that down packed, that's 90% of the game. The last 10% is, well, 1%, 2% to bounce the ball. The other 8% is stepping into the fire and creating. So there's
Yeah.
rugby is quite a simple game, like when you break it down like that. But yeah, like I said, the alignment between Les and Joe, like from what I've seen and what I've heard, is pretty seamless. So I think Les will step in and then add his little finishing touches. And I know working under Les with the Queensland Reds, he's got a great rugby mind too, and he sees the game a little bit differently. So I'd love to see how those end up marrying it, like those come together. Unfortunately, I probably won't be around at that stage. To be a part of it. But hey, you never know. Like I feel like my body's in good nick and I'm loving my rugby, so maybe I can go around for one more year. I keep saying to my wife, one more
Well,
year, one more year, one
well,
more year.
that's the important thing is keeping the wife happy, right? But you take
Exactly.
inspiration from other players as well. And if Ma Nonu can still be
Oh,
going at the
bro,
age of 43, who knows?
100%, man, and still
Right.
killing it too. Jeez, he's a beast,
Exactly.
isn't he?
Talking about Ma Nonu, and also, moving around the world, Les Kiss actually had a stint here in South Africa as well in the late 90s. Um,
Okay.
yeah, he helped with the Springboks a little bit. But your stint in New Zealand for the Crusaders, how was that experience? And also getting to know the guys a little bit better, obviously as teammates. What state will they be in after that disappointing loss against again a resurgent Argentina and a well deserved performance by Argentina. But how would those boys be feeling? And just
Well,
and just the experience of playing at the
yeah, yeah.
Crusaders, such a
Well,
strong brand.
firstly, like, there's been a good little bit of banter between me and a couple of the AB boys. Cody Taylor getting his 100th, and been chatting with Will Jordan and Tamati as well. So it's been awesome building those bonds and understanding who they are as people. Because when you're playing in Australia, they're the enemy. But then when you get to spend time with them, you realize that, man, fuck, I've got a lot of respect for these men. Like the way they go about business, it was pretty special. And like I'd always heard, the Crusaders this, the Crusaders that. They've got such a good team culture. That's why they win. And then you get there and you're like, oh, wow, I get it now. Like it's a feeling thing. And it genuinely does stem back to culture and what you're willing to do for the jersey. And it's like, man, every team tries to create it. But when you actually go to a place and you feel it, it's a different level. And so that's what I feel like I learned from the Crusaders was just how far they are willing to go for each other. Like, to genuinely die out there. I've heard Razzie say that in speeches, but to be able to play in a group that week in, week out, especially when they hit finals time, the places they would go, I was impressed. And like I said, I had a very sort of specific role because both Taha and Rivers, the two tens at the Crusaders, are in their own right very talented blokes, and they play very differently to each other. But they're the future of, I feel like, New Zealand rugby in the 10 jerseys. Maybe not now in the next year or two, but they'll be there and amongst it. And the way they got about business, I was really impressed. So it was awesome for me to, one, be around them and I guess guide in a little way, but then two, just pick up how they see the game, and they energize the shit out of me as well. So can't speak more highly of my Crusaders experience. I feel like I wouldn't be here playing with the Wallabies right now if I didn't make that decision to go over there. But then speaking on how they'd be feeling, they'll be hurt. 100% they'll be hurt, and at the same time they'll be coming. So I'm bloody glad that you Boks are playing them first, because they're gonna be coming, brother.
Yeah, I've got no doubt about that. And the experience, like you said, that's my dog probably picking up your dog and saying, "No, we need to finish up now." So I don't know if you can hear it in the background, but yeah.
Hey,
There we
hello.
go.
He's
Nice.
waiting patiently. We're about to
Okay,
go for
nice.
the beach.
Well, I'm going to let you go, James. Well done on a fantastic career thus far. Getting back into that gold jersey, the way you played in these two test matches, what you did for the Crusaders, and sharing just all of those experiences with us. I think there's a massive learning in just being able to grow. It doesn't matter what age you are at, and also just to perform at your best. It doesn't matter whether you're 18 or whether you're 35. You do your best for the jersey, and you're learning all along the way. So you told us you'll give us 15 minutes. You gave us 30. Thank you so much for it. We love to have you back in South Africa, and we're looking forward to seeing you back here again next year and onwards. And who knows, maybe World Cup 2027 in Australia, James O'Connor at 10.
Geez, maybe 22 if I'm lucky. Part of the squad, just want to be a part of it. But man, always
Well,
tough
there
for
we
you,
go.
brother. I still remember playing against each other. You bullied me,
Yeah.
so
Nah. Well, we had good battles over the years. I'm far more comfortable just sitting on the couch and watching the games and watching you guys perform, because you do it brilliantly and you're still very comfortable in that jersey playing the game. So thanks a lot for your time. Good luck for the rest of the comp and the rest of the season, and well done for what you've achieved thus far.
oh, man,
Appreciate
cheers,
it.
brother. I appreciate you, and hey, have a good one.
Cheers, man. Enjoy.
See you, bro. Bye.